It's Monday, January 12th. In the headlines, the government has earmarked an initial $5 billion to repair roads affected by Hurricane Melissa. In business news, visitor arrival dropped by 500,000 due to Hurricane Melissa. Regionally, in Antigua and Barbuda, security chiefs deny Antigua link to Caribbean narco roots. In sports, Montego Bay United and Treasure Beach top the table in the Jamaica Premier League. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Rehabilitation work on several roads damaged by Hurricane Melissa should begin by the end of January. That's according to the National Works Agency, which says the government has set aside an initial $5 billion to repair sections of the road network impacted by the Category 5 hurricane last October 28. NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw says the recovery program has now been finalized and contractors are being engaged to begin work across the island. Mr. Shaw notes that some of the funds have already been spent on emergency response efforts, including clearing blocked roads and drains and removing fallen trees and utility poles. Meanwhile, the NWA is finalizing designs for major road breakaways, particularly in St. James and Trelawney. Among the worst affected areas are the Stettin to Highgate Hall Road in Trelawney and the Fairfield to Point Corridor in Springmount, St. James. Mr. Shaw says those projects require detailed planning, significant funding, and more time to complete. Psychosocial support and targeted interventions to address learning loss have been key components of the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information's recovery program in Region 5, following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Speaking on JIS's Get the Facts show, Acting Chief Education Officer Terry-Ann Thomas Gale said safeguarding emotional well-being was a priority before and during the reopening of schools. Danita Rodney has more in this report.
Immediately after Melissa, we have indicated, we have mandated, we have supplied our list of clinical psychologists that are available if persons want to speak to someone, they're having any traumas and they need some amount of clinical support. There's a list of 36 clinicians, and these are paid by the Ministry of Education.
Mrs. Terry-Ann Thomas Gale says a team of roving guidance counselors have been given service.
And we do have a very vibrant guidance and counseling unit within the ministry that is very proactive. And so the support is there for our stakeholders if they so need.
She says the Education Ministry is being cautious about the reopening of schools, bearing in mind the damage left behind by Hurricane Melissa.
Our educators have been very creative in how they have approached bringing back the students to learning.
Physically and mentally.
Physically and mentally, in that I know that for the first week there were institutions that only did psychosocial activities during that week.
Mrs. Thomas Gale says 450 teachers are being trained in play therapy.
And that's another thing that will be fused into our system, where teachers are now able to use play to enhance how students cope with their different issues. So we are mindful, and our educators, our principals, and our leaders within our education space are mindful of the psycho-emotional state of our students and teachers.
Thousands of students were impacted after Hurricane Melissa slammed Jamaica last October, damaging more than 700 schools. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Petrojam is pumping over 20,000 litres of fuel to generate electricity for the Savannah Lamar Field Hospital in Westmoreland. The major initiative, which got underway in December, days after the field hospital was erected, has so far delivered almost 800 hours of continuous supply of electricity to the healthcare facility. Located on the grounds of the Savannah Lamar Hospital, which was devastated by Hurricane Melissa in October and has been without electricity, the makeshift hospital is staffed by a dedicated team of local medics and a contingent from the Barbados Defense Force who erected the facility, a gift to Jamaica from the government of Barbados. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is urging Jamaicans to take personal responsibility for fire safety, especially following earthquakes. The reminder comes as the country observes Earthquake Awareness Week from January 11 to January 17, under the theme, Resilient Jamaica, we weather the storm and brace for the shake. The warning was issued by JFB's Public Education Officer, Superintendent Emilio Ebanks, during a recent Jamaica Information Service think tank, where the fire brigade stressed that emergency services could be stretched thin during a major earthquake.
If there is no need for you to call at that time, the network will be tied up by persons who are in need. Do not call the emergency services. However, if there is a need and you need to call the Jamaica Fire Brigade, then you can do so by calling 110, or, as I always ask persons, know the number for your nearest fire station. 110 takes you through an operator that is outside of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and then they will have to now dispatch you to the nearest fire station to you. It is best to know the number for your nearest fire station.
Superintendent Ebanks says households should be prepared to manage small fires on their own, starting with having a fire extinguisher and knowing how to use it.
Fires are almost secondary to earthquakes, which is why it's important again for you to have the number for your nearest fire station. And in addition to that, you need now to be able to help yourself, because everybody will be calling the fire brigade and we'll not be able to get to everybody. So it is best for you if you have an extinguisher at home and you know how to use the extinguisher.
Superintendent Ebanks says Jamaicans should familiarize themselves with the PASS method, the PASS method, an internationally recognized fire extinguisher technique used to safely control small fires.
The fire extinguisher is pretty easy to operate. There's an acronym that is printed on the side of the extinguisher, PASS. So you will pull the safety pin, you will aim the hose at the base of the fire. So there's a nozzle at the end of the hose, you will aim it at the base of the fire. And like we like to say in Jamaica, you don't watch the knives at the market, you watch the sail. So you don't watch the height of the flames. You aim at what is on fire. So you aim at the base of the fire. For safety reasons, you want to stay maybe about 6 feet away from the fire, and then you'll squeeze the operating handle. Once you squeeze the operating handle, you'll sweep from side to side to try to cover whatever it is that is on fire. So that's pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep.
The fire brigade is also encouraging Jamaicans to prepare emergency kits and identify hazards in their homes, while reminding the public to help safely without putting themselves at risk. Earthquake Awareness Week, led by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, is focused on educating the public on preparedness measures to reduce injuries, loss of life, and property damage during seismic activities. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Pacific Airport Group, which manages Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay and Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, says visitor arrivals dropped by 524,000 passengers last year compared with the previous year because of the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. That said, according to Delano Seabright, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism, Jamaica has entered 2026 with renewed optimism, pointing to rapid post-Hurricane Melissa recovery efforts. Mr. Seabright, speaking with RJR News, also highlighted strong macroeconomic fundamentals and improving national security conditions, which he identified as key drivers of business confidence. He said key national infrastructure are now operating at or above 90%, including electricity, water, telecommunications, banking services, and other essential systems. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, reports that Jamaica's security dealers recorded net profits before tax of $14 billion during the first 9 months of last year, marking a sharp turnaround from the $1.65 billion loss reported over the same period in 2024. The FSC noted that the earlier losses were largely driven by uncertainty in the economy and the impact of Hurricane Beryl, which disrupted financial markets and business activity. The regulator cautioned, however, that the sector's performance in the final quarter of last year is likely to reflect the effects of Hurricane Melissa. According to the FSC, the rebound in profitability up to September was underpinned by a 24% increase in revenues to $68.8 billion, alongside a 4% reduction in expenses. Non-interest income also surged by 76% during the period. The sector's return on equity improved significantly to 10% compared to just 3% during the first 9 months of 2024, reflecting the stronger financial performance of security dealers. For the trading period of January 9, 2026, the most actively traded securities were the Innovative Energy Group Limited with 8,607,403 units, representing 26.56% of market sales activities. AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited with 7,241,287 units, representing 22.35% of market sales activities. Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 5,099,642 units, representing 15.74% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, energy, and manufacturing plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for January 9, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. The US dollar had trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $158.63 and buying at $157.24. The Canadian dollar had moderate gains supported by a $2.18 transaction spread. The Canadian dollar sold for $114.35 and was bought for $112.17. The British pound continued volatility, offering short-term trading opportunities of $1.97 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $212.72 and was bought for $210.75. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for business managing their import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, did you find your dream property? Well, luxury real estate approvals are driven less by desire and more by how your credit profile performs under scrutiny. Whether purchasing as a member of the diaspora, planning for retirement, or reaching for a dream property that feels just beyond your grasp, lenders assess risk differently in each scenario. They examine credit depth, payment consistency, debt exposure, income durability, and overall financial discipline. Strong earnings alone are never enough. Lenders want to see stability, restraint, and a well-documented credit history that supports long-term ownership. When your credit report tells a calm, credible story, luxury property becomes a strategic decision, not a long shot. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, the heads of Antigua and Barbuda's security forces are dismissing speculation linking the country to a Caribbean narcotics trafficking route cited in United States charges against deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. During a joint news conference in Parliament on Friday, the chiefs of defense, police, immigration, and counter-drug agencies said there is no information connecting Antigua and Barbuda to the allegations. The statement follows heightened public speculation amid fast-moving developments in Venezuela. ABS News' Shanakisha Francis reports.
Heads of Antigua and Barbuda's security agencies say recent regional developments have sparked speculation suggesting Caribbean governments, including Antigua and Barbuda, are linked to drug trafficking networks. The claims followed a U.S. indictment of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, which referenced politicians along a so-called Caribbean route as facilitators of narcotics trafficking. However, Director of the Office of National Drug and Money Laundering Control Policy, Colonel Edward Croft, says there is no evidence to support such allegations against Antigua and Barbuda.
Recent commentary in the public domain and on social media has suggested that Antigua and Barbuda or its politicians, officials, are involved in alleged regional narcotics trafficking routes. We, collectively, the heads of the agencies, are not aware of any incident, investigation, or official finding that identifies Antigua and Barbuda, its institutions, or its officials in this regard.
Colonel Croft says Antigua and Barbuda has consistently worked to prevent narcotics trafficking and financial crimes, a record he says is reflected in independent international assessments.
Most recent national threat analysis continues to classify Antigua and Barbuda as a low-risk jurisdiction, reflecting a strong regulatory framework, effective financial oversight, a comparatively low crime rate, and meaningful international cooperation.
He stresses law enforcement agencies act only on evidence, not speculation.
The law guides our actions. We are able to state with confidence because Antigua and Barbuda's national security framework is structured, coordinated, and subject to oversight, both regionally and internationally.
Security officials say Antigua and Barbuda remains committed to regional and international cooperation in the fight against organized crime. Shanakisha Francis, ABS News.
Guyana's opposition leader is pushing back against proposals for the country to accept third country deportees. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, says Guyana is in no position to take on such an arrangement, pointing to the absence of a comprehensive migration policy and what he describes as an already uncontrolled influx of migrants. The details in this report.
The People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, is not quote-unquote against migrants in general, but the party's leader, Aubrey Norton, is skeptical about accepting third country deportees and refugees, particularly a proposed arrangement with the United States. During a press conference on Friday in response to questions posed by Nightly News, Norton said Guyana is in no position to accept third country deportees since there are no mechanisms in place for control migration.
Our position is, one, we shouldn't be accepting them. And in the previous dispensation, I pointed out that we don't even have a migration policy.
The PNCR leader said that he's willing to consult on a clear policy, but demands guarantees that no criminals are included and that no new arrivals have good educational backgrounds and can contribute to Guyana's development.
We need to have a migration policy before we even consider general migrants, much less deportees who run amok of the law and the government doesn't want them, and you're choosing to send them to a small country without the resources to handle it.
The PNCR leader, whose job background is in foreign relations, said that even if Guyana is offered the resources to treat with deportees, it cannot mitigate the negative impact of migrants or deportees who may have criminal records.
Resources cannot make people adopt the culture. That is one. Two, it wouldn't mitigate the negative impact of criminals coming to Guyana. The President of the United States said in no uncertain terms that these are bad people. They don't want them. Why should we be accepting them? I don't think we should.
Norton, on numerous occasions, has voiced serious concerns that unchecked migration could lead to Guyanese citizens becoming a minority in their own country, raising issues of national security and demographic shifts. Antonio Day reporting for the AGP Nightly News.
We headline our sports report with some football news. Montego Bay United and Treasure Beach secured victories in Sunday's set of second-round games in the Jamaica Premier League, both battling at opposite ends of the points tables. MBU mined a 1-0 win over Dumbarton Football Club to win their first game at Jarrett Park, while Treasure Beach climbed out of the relegation zone with a 2-1 win over Malines United in the first game of a doubleheader at Drews Land. Second place Racing United came from behind to earn a 1-1 draw against Mount Pleasant Football Association, while Portmore United were held 0-0 by Chapelton Maroons, the same scoreline between defending champions Cavaliers Soccer Club and Waterhouse FC. We pivot to golf, as the Jamaica Golf Association says Zandre Roy and Shay Hay will represent the island in the 11th staging of the Latin America Amateur Golf Championship, set for January 15 to January 18 at the Lima Golf Club in Peru. Both golfers have previously competed at the championship and will be drawing on that experience as they seek to strengthen their performances over last year. The upcoming tournament will mark Roy's third appearance, following outings in 2024 and 2025, while Hay will be making his second appearance after representing Jamaica in 2024. This year's championship will feature more than 100 golfers from 28 countries. In addition to regional honors, the champion earns an invitation to compete in the Masters tournament, along with exemptions into the Open Championship and the US Open. That's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.